Okay. I think I want to move this a little so you can see my Nets hats. And then where do I want to stand? I want to stand like here and make this like here. Boom. Okay.
You're lucky though. My camera's so damn zoomed in. I got like there's like I put an X on the floor. There's one place I can stand to be in frame.
Do you have a camera or is it your built-in MacBook camera?
I ordered a camera. It's coming. I'm gonna be home. I'm going home this weekend, so I'm excited. So I'm probably gonna be able to use it for the first time for next episode after games 1 and 2.
What's up, people in the chat? What's up, people pulling up? We got a couple people live. This is Talking Nets. We about to do this thing live. Playoff preview. Keith McPherson, Hudson Flynn. You should know the drill. Appreciate y'all pulling up early. Notification squad. Okay.
And they're getting the debut of the brand refresh.
They get to see the brand refresh for playoffs. Had to spice it up a little bit. Had to do something different. And we'll talk about that. All right. I got to get this tweet out to say that we are live. Where is this? Copy link. Yes. Tweet. And we're going to talk about basketball, the NBA, the Nets,
Brooklyn Nets,
the Celtics.
That's some good stuff going on.
The Celtics a little bit. Probably some more talk about the Nets. And yeah. We're live. Talking Nets, Celtics, playoffs. You know. And where's that link? And the sub. All right. I think that's tweeted. No, it's not. I appreciate y'all bearing with me. I wanted to go live because I always just like the vibes. It kind of pulls back the curtain, see Hudson and I doing our thing out here before we actually start the show. So
I did see the Kluber no. I was on. I did. I went. I watched it. It was exciting. Yankees, they're doing some good stuff. The team ERA is so far down.
In the chat,
even Domingo.
Oh, what up, Asia?
The Yankees are looking good. There.
Andy, what up, Andy? Appreciate y'all. They know the drill. How you doing, guys? We doing all right. Slick Nick, what up? How do you say? Is it Onur Yasisi? Yazizi? All right. Let me get serious, but seriously not serious. I gotta count us in, and I gotta record right now. And we're gonna start the show. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let me square up on the camera now. Yo, the regular season is over. Get fired up. Get pumped up. Get ready. Because this is it. Playoffs. Of course it's the Celtics. It was written a long time ago. Talking Nets episode 104. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn. We're going to talk about the Celtics. We're going to talk about the Nets matching up with the Celtics, what Brad Stevens had to say, what Jason Tatum did the other night in the playing game. But really, we're going to talk playoffs. We're going to talk tickets. We're going to talk vibes. We're going to talk Tailgate Brooklyn, what we're planning on doing as Talking Nets, going live. Here, we're live, recording the pod right now on
Yeah, it can't just be me that doesn't hear Keith. You guys got me, though, or is it just him? Shit, I hope it's not both of us. That would be a big disaster.
Oh, my mic was muted.
Oh, there he goes. Now he's back.
Why
See,
is
Lewis
that?
got me. We got me.
Hold on.
Now Keith is back. Okay,
Mic
there we go.
there. Speaker there. Okay. That won't affect
Thank
anything
you, boys.
on the pod. Yeah, that won't affect anything on the pod. But I'll do it again for if you guys didn't hear my little intro right there, right? I was muted, right?
We got like 2/3 of it, Keith.
Okay, good. Then fuck it. We'll skip that. We'll get right into the pod. Okay.
Let's get it then.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn joining you on a Thursday night, May 20th, 2021. And it's that great time. It's that anxiety-induced time, that exciting time, that time we've all been waiting for, we've worked for, we've hoped for. We watched this team get to this point because now we know it gets really real. Playoffs, NBA playoffs. You saw the playing games this week. Now we're about to play in the playoffs. Hudson Flynn, how are you feeling? Can you do me a favor and say what's up to the people?
Man, I'm feeling phenomenal, Keith. The Nets are in the playoffs where we belong. Everyone is getting ready for it. Everyone's feeling this anxiety. Everyone's paying attention to everything. People are staying up. Everyone stayed up. We watched LeBron hit the clutch shot over Steph, looking like the iconic Kyrie Irving moment. We got Kyrie getting blasted in the media again for load management, I guess. The same guy that said some slurs about Jay-Z in 2012 is deciding to bash the Nets again. And it's Kyrie Irving this time, because who better for a racist to bash than someone who is giving good things back to his community. But look, I feel great, Keith. I think I feel good. I think you feel good. But more importantly, we look good. And everybody in the YouTube chat, you can see we got a brand refresh. If you hop on our Twitter, you hop on our Instagram, you're going to see we got a brand refresh. We got the playoff gold. We got the new energy. We got the Basquiat. And it just feels like it's time, Keith. It feels like something has changed. And here we are. We're at the head of it. We're still 0-16 away from the ultimate goal, but it all starts here.
First off, I got to shout out Matt G. The G is for GOAT. I worked with Matt and I said, listen, man, when we started Talking Nets after the 2018-2019 season, we went with the City Edition look, which was the Coogee, the Biggie look, obviously, the bench mob dancing, and D'Angelo Russell inspired us to start the podcast. So our first look had the Coogee trim on it, and that got us all the way here. Now we're going into the playoffs. We needed a brand refresh, and I said we got to go with the Basquiat look. Now, Basquiat is a artist that is very hard to imitate, but as you guys can see on YouTube, Matt did an excellent job imitating some Basquiat stuff and making it for Talking Nets. So this is how we'll look running through the playoffs. Notice the gold trim. Notice the crown. Notice the Larry O'Brien trophy down there. Like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. All right. So enough about that because people listening to the pod can't see that. Let's talk about the play-ins first, starting with last night. The Lakers host the Warriors. And I know this is Talking Nets, but now it's playoff time. We got to talk about everything. Hudson said he stayed up and watched the game. Bro, I was so disappointed. Like, after the Corey Kluber no-hitter, I watched that whole thing. That was amazing. I tried to watch the Laker game on my phone, and I'm sleeping. When LeBron hits that shot, I'm watching the game into the fourth quarter, and it was one of those things you're watching on your phone, and you doze off. I fell asleep. When I woke up this morning, my phone wasn't charged. My phone was somewhere lost in the bed. I turn on SportsCenter. I go, oh, LeBron hit a 3 like that over Steph to pretty much ice it late. Like, I can't believe I missed that moment. And then I was like, come on, yo. They can't expect East Coast to be up till 1 a.m. on a Wednesday night. Like, I couldn't keep my eyes open. But I liked it. First playing game between – the first playing games we've seen, but it's between two of the greatest basketball players we've ever seen in Steph Curry and LeBron. And that game was the best of the 4 playing games. Am I wrong about that? Like, can anybody say that? Like, I watched the Spurs and the Grizzlies first half, and then I realized Corey Kluber was about to pitch a no-no, so I stopped watching that. I watched the Pacers run away with that game against the Pacers played the Hornets. They ran away with the game against the Hornets. And then I watched the Celtics with Jason Tatum drop a 50 ball on the Wizards. So Hudson, what were you thinking about these play-ins? This is the first time we ever see this play-in tournament. I thought it was cool. I mean, granted, the playoffs started late because of the season started late, COVID, whatever. I didn't mind it. I thought it gave us some extra basketball, some extra games on TV, where it was only one NBA game on TV. They started these games on time. There wasn't that like tip-off time and that 30-minute wait. What did you see in these games? Obviously, our boy Karras didn't rock in that Pacers game. Wanted to see that. But, quickly share your thoughts on the first ever NBA play-in tournament.
Look, I was into it, right? So obviously, as Nets fans, we were all paying attention to the Wizards-Celtics game. A lot of people were rooting for the Celtics to win because there's the history with the Nets, but also they look to be a weaker team. We'll get into that preview later, but obviously Tatum drops 50. But look, everyone knew what the best play-in game was going to be. Everyone knew what the storyline was going to be. It was going to be LeBron versus Steph. It was going to be more finals rematches. It was going to be Golden State, Cleveland rematch. And look, it delivered, right? LeBron came back. He said he was seeing 3 rims, just shot for the middle one. Drake is going to have some bar coming with that as soon as possible. Drake was partying with LeBron the night before. LeBron, 36 years old, still partying it up with Drake the night before games. You love to see it. But look, I think it was exciting. I think it was a fun addition, and I am not in the same camp as LeBron. I think it adds more interest. I think it makes the late season runs that teams go on, like the Wizards and like the Hornets. Like, I think that makes it more interesting, and it gives a lot more value to those like late seed, who's going to play who type matchups. And I'm really into it. I hope it stays. I just think it adds more interest. And at the end of the day, it gives the Nets a week off. So I'm going to be enjoying that.
It gave the Nets a week off. James Harden went and got some braids. Went with the cornrow Karras look. It's over for y'all. But yeah, what I'll say about it, I like it. Teams aren't tanking when they know that they can play themselves in, and we get to see superstars like a Ja Morant that gets to play. His season's not over. We get to see legends like Steph Curry, whose team isn't as almighty as it once was, but he gets to get into that playoff atmosphere, and he spoke about how much fun he had, how much he enjoyed that playoff atmosphere in the Staples Center with the defending champs, right? The defending champs go from being the Kings to now you got to play in to even get in the dance. I don't hate it at all. I was definitely surprised with the Celtics. I wanted the Celtics to win. People were asking who you rooting for. I said, I'm rooting for the Celtics, bro. I'm a Nets fan. I want to play the Celtics. I don't want to play the Wizards. Even if Brad Beal is banged up and, Russ is going for triple doubles, whatever, they didn't have enough. Tatum went crazy. Like, bro, the moves he was getting off, he won't be getting all those moves off against us. But that's a good way to segue into some ticket talk, man. I see Asia in the chat said, Keith, are you going to any games? So the Nets will play the Celtics in Brooklyn Saturday night. Most people listening to this podcast will be listening to this podcast on Friday. So the game is tomorrow night. You might have tickets. You might be going. I said to our group, I've never seen anything like this. It's crazy how COVID changed how many people can be in the stadium. And then when they up the capacity of the stadium now, they're adding vaccinated-only sections where if you're fully vaccinated plus time, you have access to tickets that you would never have access at that price for a playoff game before. I went to the playoffs in 18, 15, and 13. I don't remember what I paid in 18. I think I got hooked up. But in 15, I sat 18 rows back for about $110 per seat. I paid like $225, $230 with taxes and stuff. For 18 rows back in the lower level, people are going to be getting those at a discounted price, like around $100. That's crazy. We're going to host the Celtics. Of course, we're going to host the Celtics. It was written like that. And it's the first round. So in the past, people think, oh, save your money. Don't go to the first round. Save your money and go to the later rounds. We hope that we get to the later rounds. We're planning on getting to the later rounds. That's a good strategy. But right now, it's seeming like tickets are very affordable. It's seeming like they're trying to put people in there. And I expect there to be a good amount of people in the Barclays Center Saturday. I won't be there. Plug. I will be hosting the Brooklyn Nets watch party at Tailgate Brooklyn. That's our spot. I don't know if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram. You might have saw some measly blue and orange flags put up in our place, bro. Like, chalking our whole swag. They want to be us, little bro. Little bro want to be us. So I'll be at Tailgate Brooklyn Saturday. If you're going to the game Saturday, great. Be loud. The next game I'm eyeing to go to is Tuesday, Game 2. Hudson Flynn, tell me what you know about these tickets. I saw you put a tweet out about the vaccinated tickets. There's links being sent around. There's deals going on. James Harden did a deal where there was a link where he was going to pay for half the cost of fans' tickets. I missed that. But, I mean, tell me what you know about this ticket talk, man. It's crazy. We live in a crazy 2021 world where now playoff tickets are affordable if you're vaccinated.
I mean, what I will say, right, is if you're listening to this, go to the first 2 games. James Harden, he's covering half of the cost of tickets if you use the code Harden. And that's not like we're not getting any money from the Nets for that. We just wanted them to be loud. We want real Nets fans. We don't want people in suits. Do you remember when they first opened the Barclays up and we saw these people in suits that were there for dinner parties and, you know, the seats couldn't even see the court because that wasn't what, you know, was exciting for those people. It was the networking. It was whatever, yada, 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 corporate America. But this is for the Nets fans. James Harden stepped up. He's paying half the cost. Use those tickets. Use that promo code. Get in the Barclays. See playoff Kyrie, playoff KD, and playoff James Harden in action. It's going to be another level. This, according to Brad Stevens, and we'll talk about this later, is the greatest collection of players of all time. And if you're going to go, now is the time to go. It's the cheapest it's going to be. But at the same time, look, keep your eye out because there's going to be deals going around. There's going to be sponsorships going around. There's going to be ways to get in there. And people are talking about there's no real Nets fans. Show them that there are. Go to the Barclays Center. Make noise. Show them that they're there. Witness greatness while also representing the borough, the team, the city, and really just the whole NBA. Because at the end of the day, the Nets are the biggest show in the NBA.
So right now, the Nets are promoting these games. Saturday, 5:22 is at 8 o'clock. And then Tuesday, 5:25 is at 7:30. Friday, 5:28, 8:30. Sunday, 5:30, 7 p.m. The rest is TBD. Man, I think I'm going to go to at least one of these games. I haven't picked it out yet. But like Hudson said, if you can get to a game, show up to a game. If you haven't been back to the Barclays Center, show up. We just went back for the first time to see the Big Three last Saturday, and we're probably going to go right back. Like, please show up. Please go. It's a different time. Our world, Nets world. These tickets are going to move. And, I mean, I had the watch party set up for Tailgate Brooklyn because we've done 2 live podcasts there. And we're working with the Glue guys now. Our guys, Brian and Mike from the Glue guys, said, hey, let's get a watch party going. And I said, perfect, because I'm not trying to do another live podcast out there. I'm just trying to go there and drink and not work and chill and watch the game with other Nets fans. So we've got that going Saturday. If you don't go to the game, Tailgate Brooklyn, it's free. We've got 4 tables blocked off. It's right next to the Williamsburg Hotel. I'll be out there. The Glue guys will be out there. Nets Daily will be out there. I think we invited, some other fans from Nets Twitter. But if you can't go to the game, pull up on us. But go to the game. Go to the game. Go to the game. All right. Now, let's move into talking about the games. Let's move into talking about the matchup. Let's move into just, a playoff preview. Now, there's 3 ways I want to do this. I want to talk about our expectations, matchups, things we're worried about, things we're not worried about, who we expect to rise, what do we expect out of Harden. And the way I'm going to, get this conversation going is by posing these questions to Hudson. And then when he answers, I'll kick my answer. So I'll ask him a question like I don't really know, or I don't know what he's going to say. I kind of know. I know Hudson Flynn pretty decent as far as, his Nets fandom and what he thinks about the Nets. But I'll ask Hudson a question like this to start off. Like, Hudson, looking at this Celtics matchup, how afraid of you, or how afraid are you? I can't even get the question out because it's a goofy ass question. How shook are you of Evan Fournier, the former Orlando Magic who got traded to the Celtics? He might drop 50 on us. Is he giving you nightmares? Are you losing sleep over Evan Fournier in a Celtics uniform?
I can't believe you. Like, I think God or your brain or whoever gave you like 6 different chances to not ask that question and to just call it raps, but you went with it anyway.
I just hate Evan Fournier.
He's so dumb. I hope the entire Nets organization, I hope Uncle Jeff Green dunks on his head, sends him to the shadow realm. I hope he crossed existence, Mike James. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you want to say you're worried about anyone, you're worried about Tatum dropping 50 on your heads. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about anyone on that team. They're hurt. They're not, a threat. The Nets just need to take care of business. I'm not losing sleep over anybody on that team.
So what I want to say about the Celtics is this, right? We are getting a Celtics team that pretty much struggled all year. We're getting a Celtics team that their fans aren't high on, but they were outside chanting, F Kyrie, was it F Kyrie? And we want the Nets and all this other shenanigans. Be careful what you wish for. All they have is Jason Tatum, in my opinion. Kemba Walker, yeah. Marcus Smart, yeah. But Marcus Smart hasn't had a great year. Kemba hasn't had a great year. It's all riding on the shoulders of Jason Tatum, who I said Jason Tatum and Kyrie are just going to have a Kobe off. You're just gonna be watching those two guys like, damn, I've seen that move before. That looks very similar to somebody else I know. Nobody else scares me on this team. I look at this series like this, right? If Tatum doesn't go off for 50 at least twice or 40 at least twice, then these guys are not going to be able to hang with what we have. They're not going to be able to keep score with our firepower. They're not going to be able to rock with our role players. Our bench is definitely better than their bench. Smart plays good defense. Kemba, not so much. It's Tatum scoring on his own, which if we shut Tatum down, there's no way they can keep pace with James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie. Let's talk more Nets. This is talking Nets. What do you expect to see, Hudson? What do you expect to see out of James Harden in a high-level situation like the playoffs, where he's going to be in full, point guard mode, quarterback mode? It's going to be on him to distribute and get things going. What do you expect to see out of the bearded one?
Look, if I'm being honest, I expect him to come back and play at the highest level, but it's going to be different, right? The last time we watched James Harden in the playoffs, looks like his whole career, we have seen him have to carry. We've seen him have to put the team on his back. We've seen him have to drop 60 or nothing, and that's an L. But no, that's not how it is anymore. James Harden is going to do what he said he was going to do in his press conference. For all of you that missed it, he got asked a question about people putting up stats, or, you're not putting up enough stats. And he said, but when I was putting up stats, it was about winning, right? Now he's here for winning. He said he put up 0 points in the Nets scrimmage win. If he puts up 0 points in the Nets win, I'm not going to be complaining. What I expect is for him to average somewhere in the range of a 20-point triple-double. Maybe plus a little, minus a little to, make it not exactly a triple-double, whatever. That's what I'm expecting. He's going to facilitate. He's going to look. He is going to run the team both when Kyrie and KD are on the court and when they're off the court. And that's really the way it's going to be, right? So you're going to see James Harden be the quarterback that he is, that he's always wanted to be, that he's always had the potential to be. And you're going to see at the same time, KD and Kyrie do their thing. The best shooting guard in the league, Kyrie Irving, do his thing. And the best pure scorer of all time, KD, do his thing. So that's really what I'm expecting from all that, right? And it's only going to be made better because of James Harden. We're going to see a different James Harden. And to quote the legendary ad that Kobe put out with Kanye a little while back, it's going to be the different animal, but the same beast.
Hey, I like that. I expect to see James Harden unleashed. We haven't really got to watch him in the last 2 months. And I think a lot of people always need reminders on these guys. I think I said on one of these podcasts that, KD is the greatest player that you have to remind people how good he is. Similar with James Harden, because there's always these narratives to try and, change the style of play that they actually play into something else, or to try and pick at these guys, man. I think you're going to see Harden unleashed. And I think Harden is going to facilitate. He's got the high IQ that we always speak of. He's going to make the right plays. The next guy I want to talk about is Kyrie now. Kyrie is coming off of, the 40, 50, 90, 50, 40, 90, however you want to say it. And he's returning back to Boston next week. He is playing his former team. Of course, it's the Celtics, because all of these things have to come full circle from the 2013 trade, right, till now. I think we can send a message about who won the trade. And then as far as Kyrie and the where is Kyrie and the fans saying he was too shook to play against them in 2019 when he had a shoulder injury, 2020 rather. Fans saying that he was ducking them. He did the sage burning in their place. What do you expect out of Kyrie, who usually goes off against them? I would say in the 3 games where we swept the Celtics this regular season, Kyrie had 2 games over 30 points. He had a quieter game in the last one, but he still had his assists. What do we expect to see out of Kyrie Irving? I think Kyrie's going to be he's just going to be fine. I don't think he's going to be going for 40, but if there's a opportunity for him to go for 40 in one of these games, I think we see that. What do you expect out of Kyrie Irving?
I expect one game where he goes ballistic, goes for 40, and maybe it's on a game where KD's shot isn't there or James Harden's shot isn't there. But to be honest, what I expect from Kyrie is to average what he did this season. I'm going to see him put up a very, very efficient 27 to 29 points a game and make someone look foolish by doing the most magical thing you've ever seen once a game. That's what you're going to get from Kyrie. It's going to be playoff Kyrie, so it's going to be a different level. It's going to be a different frequency. It's going to be an even higher level of efficiency. But because it's Boston and because it's the playoffs, it's just going to be all extended, all brought to another level. And Kyrie's really going to step up and he's going to do his thing. And it's not a matter of the way Tatum needs to drop 50, right, to keep the Celtics in games. Kyrie could go out and score 15 and it doesn't really matter. So you're not going to see Kyrie put up these ginormous numbers because he needs to, because at the end of the day, he doesn't. But what he is going to do is do his job and do it to perfection. And that is getting buckets very efficiently and sometimes quarterbacking the offense when James Harden isn't on the court. And that's what he's going to do, Keith. As much as people want to make it about the Celtics, this is about winning right now. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about anything. Kyrie cares about bigger things than revenge for the Celtics.
I didn't want to cut you off, but we have breaking news. It is not a Woj bomb. It's a Wham bomb. Mr. Whammy is confirmed to be coming back to the Barclays Center on Saturday. That is the bump that we need for the sweep. Mr. Whammy, super fan. I don't know if you guys listening know about Mr. Whammy. Google it, Mr.Whammy. Mr. Whammy, you know him when you see him.
If they're putting fans in the Hall of Fame, they put that Raptors fan in the Hall of Fame. Mr. Whammy, he's our first inductee into the NBA Hall of Fame. He's going to be there. And man, Keith, I can't even tell you. I'll just do this quick because I don't want to get too off topic. I remember one of the last games I went to before everything shut down because of COVID. Mr. Whammy, our guy, the GOAT, Mr. and Mrs. Whammy, were doing their thing when we had a Hornets player shooting free throws and some random ass Hornets fan started yelling at him. And I can't even tell you the swell of anger that the entire arena felt. Like 6 different people stepped to him. It was magical. It was one of the greatest moments of all time. He is the GOAT, and he is going to make the difference for the Nets in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Whammy is a legend. He's a GOAT. He's a GOAT super fan for the Nets. And if you were thinking you were going to say something to Mr. Whammy, you need to check out where you are. You need to know where you are. And another thing I want to talk about is Joe Harris, right? Now, Joe Harris had the hip. He missed some time. I'm pretty sure Joe Harris is going to be ready to go for the series. From what we got from Coach Nash, he said he'll be ready to go Saturday. That tells me it's a green light for Joe Harris. Question for you, Hudson. Do we think that we see Joe Harris in the starting lineup? Do we see Joe Harris in the starting 5? And if your answer is yes or no, who do you think is our starting 5 rolling out on Saturday when we play game 1 against the Celtics?
So I, for one, and this is based purely off of what I've seen in the Nets do recently, I don't think that he should. I think he is obviously a starting caliber player. He's a great player. But right now, I think his best role is to come off of the bench to open up those shooters when it's James Harden running the offense. And when it comes to who's starting where, I think the Nets go with what worked in the close of the season, right? I think it's the big 3 plus Blake and Uncle Jeff. And that provides, I think, the perfect mix of shooting, defending, energy, and grit that the Nets need. Because at the end of the day, when you have the big 3 on the court, you're not at a want for shooting. And as much as we love Joe, his driving and his defense aren't necessarily at the level of any of those other players on the court, right? So when we need shooting, he's going to be there and he's going to be efficient. I think he shoots over 50% in this series easily. I think he shoots 56%, scoring 12 to 15 points a game, somewhere in that range, coming off the bench when Harden is quarterbacking the offense. But at the end of the day, you don't need shooting when you have those 3 on the court, and you do get ample shooting from Blake Griffin, from Uncle Jeff. So I see him coming off the bench, and I see the big 3 starting with Blake and Uncle Jeff.
I see that too. I think I was listening to Fireside Nets. Shout out to Spen, and he was doing, who do you think your starting five is going to be? And the guest that he had on said DeAndre Jordan would be starting. And I don't think DeAndre Jordan is going to start. I think they're going to go strictly matchups. And it's the Celtics. It's round one. I think they're going to put Jeff Green at the 5, or maybe Blake at the 5. Either way, Blake, I expect to see a all-star lineup, a Monstars lineup, a death lineup that includes the veterans in Blake Griffin and Uncle Jeff with our big three of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. Next thing I wanted to talk about, KD. Now, I don't know how many of y'all know about this, but there's a different level of Kevin Durant. There is a playoff Kevin Durant. There is a Durantula Slim Reaper Kevin Durant. There is a killer Kevin Durant that comes out in the playoffs. You've seen him do it in different jerseys. You've seen him do it in OKC. You've seen him do it obviously in Golden State. But now you get to see it for the Brooklyn Nets, and I think it's going to be something different. I think what you're going to get from KD is going to be a focused, locked-in KD with something to prove. And what are you thinking about, with this flip being switched, where these guys are the highest level basketball players, high IQ. They know it's the main stage. They've been talking about this time. What do you think we're going to see from Kevin Durant? Someone asked me, I think it was the guy from BBC. Shout out to Nesta from BBC Sports London, straight from the UK. We're getting talking Nets across the pond. Asked me, who do I expect to be the Nets MVP in the playoffs, or maybe Finals MVP? And I leaned Harden for the conversation, but I think there's a chance we see a ridiculous KD that could average over 30 a game in the playoff. Like, who knows? What are you thinking about the Kevin Durant we're about to get? Because we held the guy back for a long time. Now he's here and he has a chance to just take over the league and run shit. And I think we're gonna see hell from the Slim Reaper.
I mean, first off, people are forgetting what KD did in those playoffs with Golden State before he got hurt, right? He was averaging more than 30 on a team with, obviously, Steph Curry and with all those other shooters, right? He was balling out. So that's, I think, what we're going to get a continuation of. But what I think the Nets are going to have that they didn't have back in that time is the KD that we saw in those last regular season games, where he was shooting, yes, and he was insanely efficient. He shot 80% in his last game. But I also think we're going to see some more passing. I also think we're going to see KD reacting to doubles, because he's going to get doubled. And I think we're going to see him using that pinpoint accuracy that people do not give him enough credit for. And he's going to look for them. He put up 12 assists. I think he might put up close to that. I don't necessarily see him averaging, 35 points a game, but him putting up 30 with something like 11 assists and 6 rebounds is something that I would definitely appreciate. And I think it is probably what's most likely going to happen, because at the end of the day, right, this is why he came here. This is what he built up for. He's here to win championships. He's here to be the leader and to lead the Nets to a championship, right? And leaders lead by example. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think he's going to go ballistic, Keith.
I do too. I look at it like this. It's the playoffs. It's what these guys live for. It's what these guys want. The regular season doesn't mean much. Everything matters now. Every possession matters now. And we have a collection of players that are going to be more locked in and more focused than ever. Some of these guys trying to get their first ring. KD is just trying to add more rings. Kyrie's trying to add more rings. James Harden's trying to get his first ring. And all our role players, all our guys, Blake Griffin, these guys are trying to get rings. And now I want to talk about the role players. I want to talk about the guys. One guy that comes to mind, grew up a Celtics fan in Boston, Bruce Brown, gets to play against his, hometown team. I expect to see a lot out of Bruce. I hope he keeps the mask. I hope he has the mask, Bruce. I also expect to see a lot out of Nick Claxton. I think they're going to really, take the training wheels off Nick Claxton and let that young man fully go. And we'll see what happens with guys like Mike James. We'll see what happens with guys like Landry Shamet. We'll see what happens with guys like Tyler Johnson. But I think all of those role players are going to be ready to contribute solid minutes. Who are you most excited to see play in the playoffs from our bench, from our role guys, from the glue guys that are on the Brooklyn Nets?
I think that this is Nick Claxton's chance to prove who he is, right? I know the Nets see it. I know people who pay attention to the Nets see who he is, but I think this is his chance to go on to a national stage and let people across the league know who he is. Not just what he can do catching lobs from James Harden, because obviously that's another aspect to his game, scoring double-digit points and almost averaging double-digit rebounds in every game that he played with James Harden in these past couple weeks. I think we're going to see that defense. I think we're going to see him lock up both big bodies and smaller players against this Celtics team. I know the Celtics are going to try to hunt for switches, right? That's kind of Kemba's game at this point, right? He's going to be looking for switches, and they need that scoring that's not coming from Tatum. So he's going to end up on smaller guys, and he's going to have to show that he has the length and he has the mobility to defend those guys. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. I think more than his offense, because the offense is important, but the Nets have fought. We have just such a plethora of weapons. At the end, it doesn't really matter if he's putting up 15 or if he's putting up 7, right? But we're going to see the defense. We are going to see him run the defense as the longest player on the Nets. And it's just going to be something that I think propels him to the next level. Not in Nets fans' eyes, not in the Nets organization eyes, because we know, but in the national media, I think there's going to be so many more conversations about him. And he's going to enter that conversation of steal of the draft when he was taken, now that he can show what he has on a national level. Honestly, in a way similar to a lot of the players on the Raptors did when they were on the way to a championship. No one really paid attention to them, right? And then we see these players. We see Siakam. We see these other young players that, Nick Nurse found and developed. I think that's what's going to happen to Nick Claxton, and I think it's going to be a massive stepping stone for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I look at this whole playoff run and where we are as a building block for the Nets. I really do mean it when I speak on a dynasty being built here and us being dominant for the next 3 to 4 years and players emerging in the playoffs to the national stage. Now, we all know and love our players, but the national stage does not know Nick Claxton. They do not know Bruce Brown. I would love for him to get to know Alize Johnson. I wish Alize Johnson had a better chance to get in minutes. We'll see what happens. If we can smoke the Celtics, maybe some of our guys will get to rock in garbage time. But what I see happening through this run is the national media really honing in on who are the Brooklyn Nets. There's more than just the big three. There's actually guys on this team that really keep everything going. KD came out and said, we're the big 15. He said that for a reason, because he knows it's not all about Harden. It's not all about KD and Kyrie. There's a full team of guys, and I expect the light to be shined on these guys as they go through this playoff run and through the next few years. And it's like everybody on the Nets will be a household name, and we win it this year. We win it next year. And then it looks like a dynasty out here. And we followed the NBA model. We went and got a new coach, head coach Steve Nash. Right? What are you thinking about Steve Nash and our head coach and our assistant coach, D'Antoni, Jacques Vaughn? What do you think these guys got in store for us in the playoffs? Are we going to be mad at these guys not calling timeouts, not drawing up the right plays, not knowing how to execute down the line? Or you think they're going to be fully locked and loaded and ready to do what they got to do for the Brooklyn Nets in this playoff run?
I actually don't think we really get to make a decision on that. I don't think we'll have the chance to, because I think the Nets are going to blow out the Celtics. I think there might be one game
in this series.
Maybe it's 5. In this series, I don't think that we're going to see him really have to make these late time, clutch time decisions in the same way that he will going forward. So I wouldn't say this series is a test per se. I wouldn't say we're really going to have that much intel that we're going to be able to take away from the game. But at the same time, I do think we're going to see some things. I think we're going to see him have a quicker trigger on rotations. I don't think we're going to see him leave people out for too long. I don't think that we're going to see him make a lot of the same mistakes because there's a lower margin for error. And I know that there's so much, playoff experience and energy on the Nets bench that they're going to be more in his ear. When in the regular season, they may have deferred to him as the head coach. There's no second chances in the playoffs. There's no D'Antoni biting his tongue because he wants this to be Steve Nash's team. He wants him to be his protege and let him run the squad, right? I think there's going to be quicker triggers. I think there's going to be quicker rotations. I think we're going to see way less experimenting. I think we're going to find 1, maybe 2 starting lineups that we're going to stick with, and that's what we're going to get. But I am looking forward to later in the playoffs, seeing how he does coach in those clutch time moments, because they're going to come, and he needs to be better.
Yeah, they're going to come, and I am a little bit worried about that, because we've seen it in the regular season. In those type of moments, they rear their ugly head, and if you don't play them right, you could end up losing a game, and it could be a crucial game. It could be a vital game, but all positive energy here. We believe. We know what we got to do. Last couple things from this series, man. I don't know. I'm looking at the Celtics roster. They got Tristan Thompson, Tristan Kardashian. They got Jabari Parker, who, like, I completely forgot Jabari Parker was with them. I don't see this team. Duke, I don't see this team being the Nets. Maybe we see some minutes out of Taco Fall after we smoke these guys. That'll be funny. Last thing I want to say about the Nets team is that this is the last of the narratives. This is the last of the New York City narratives. I see people saying, oh, these guys haven't even played together. They're not going to have enough chemistry. Dead that. You know, Harden and KD, they were teammates and they're friends. Kyrie and KD are best of friends. These guys played Team USA together. I'm talking KD, I'm talking Kyrie, I'm talking Harden and Blake. Chemistry is for teams that have superstars and role players, and they need to learn how to mesh so that they can even be a competitive team. Chemistry is for teams that are figuring it out and haven't won a championship yet and have to come together and build this great team to be able to get through the playoffs. What this is going to look like is dominance. What this is going to look like is an unfair Nets world, and I'm so ready to see it. Now, I want to throw to the chat because I see some people in the chat. We're getting to the end, and I know we said we're going to answer questions at the end, so I'll give you guys some time to queue up your questions. Send your questions into the chat now. Hudson and I will answer them. No voicemails. The voicemail that I had was just someone saying, like, let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. I think this is on a voicemail. So shout out to you if you're listening. I don't want to play it. It was like 2 minutes. And I think
that's commitment though. That's commitment though. I like that.
2 minutes and 27 seconds. Someone just saying, like, let's go Nets, Brooklyn Nets. So not playing that, but I'm going to let you guys queue up the questions in the chat as we get ready to wrap this thing up. I saw JJ hit me saying that there was more Harden tickets available. But what I want to do right now is read new reviews. We need reviews. I appreciate everyone that writes these reviews. I asked for 100 reviews before playoffs. We're close. We got 84. Maybe that number will tick up. And I want to read these 2 reviews now. From Monday, DNRJENFMSN writes, Best Nets Pod. It is a crime that you guys aren't at 100 reviews yet. And if I have to, I'll get you guys there myself. Love the pod. And you guys really have great chemistry. Speaking of chemistry again, you guys have great chemistry together because you're just fanalists. I love that everybody uses the fanalist word now. Like, that's what we are, bro. We're not analysts. We're just fans of this. Keep it up. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn. This is Luis Mina. Yo, what up? I'm probably not even saying your name right. Luis Mena. I think it's Luis Mena. Shout out to you, bro. And I
think he's in the chat, or at least he was before. So that's the GOAT.
Yeah, shout out to you, bro. I saw you DM me, and I think I saw you in the chat. So appreciate the support and the review. And then the last review says by Hoopty Clay Tuesday. It says official 5 stars. These 2 homies are a breath of fresh air for Nets fans. Let's get it. So hey, appreciate y'all, man. We will not stop. The last thing before we answer questions, just giving you a little insight on us and what we're doing. You see the brand refresh. We got the new skin, the new frame, the new look with the Basquiat and a little bit of playoff gold in there. What we're planning on doing is growing our Instagram and going live more on Instagram, either with pregame or postgame shows. Someone suggested we do a podcast after every game, and that's just not possible for us. Like, we're still a new podcast. We're doing this remote. Hudson's about to leave school, go back home. I'm going to be moving around doing some stuff, but we will promise to give you an Instagram live either before or after every playoff game, and then the podcast will come after every 2 games so that we're not on here talking about, 3 games. Every 2 games, we'll pod about what happened in the last 2 games. So look out for that coming up. And now let's hit this chat real quick and see if anybody said anything. Let's see. JJ said he sent a voicemail, bro. I did not see a new voicemail. That last voicemail was from Wednesday, yesterday night. And it's fine. Trust me, we're going to have a ton of voicemails after these games. When we win, call the voicemail. If we somehow lose, call the voicemail. If something ridiculous happens, Mike James throws an alley-oop off a backboard and KD dunks it, call in and we'll play it on the pod. So, all right. Pierre, ESPN reporter, counting us out from the championship because of lack of defense. Okay.
That's what they're going to do. That's one of the narratives, whatever.
Yeah. Let's talk about this. I just said this is the last week of them spinning everything. This is the last week of the narratives. This is the last week that they can try and say this, that, or the other about what we're lacking. Because once we step on that floor in the playoffs and we show them the power we actually have, they can't analyze that and say we're not going to play defense. And I've already said on this podcast so many times, okay, if y'all want to have a race to 120 points, we're going to beat these teams to 120 points with our firepower. If we win the games 120 to 105, fine. Like, I just don't see it. Like, what team has what we have? Like, it's not going to be like that. And yes, in the playoffs, you need defense, but I'm telling you, these heads don't want to match up. They're talking about KD checking Tatum. Let's chill. Like, our coaches got it. We're going to be all right. Hudson, any other thoughts about the Nets defense going into the playoffs?
It's not even a narrative anymore. The Nets they're a top half defense. Like, I don't know if they don't watch the games. Statistically, the Nets are a top half defense in the league. They've been playing great defense recently. Clax is a plus defender. I think he, for a time, was the highest rated defender in the NBA. Bruce Brown is a dog. You have Blake Griffin taking the most charges in the league. Talk about a momentum shifter. The Nets play defense. And first off, there's these narratives that people choose to pick out about the Nets because they need to have something to talk to on First Take and The Jump or whatever show you're on. Don't listen to them because, look, they're paid to talk. I don't even hate them anymore. I don't get riled up when I see Stephen A. says something dumb because that's what their job is. Their job is to say something dumb so that casual NBA fans can be like, "Oh, I like that. I'll use that in my next argument on Twitter." That's all it is. There's no reason to read into anything that they're saying. So at least use this as some ammunition to shut people up when they try to use those arguments. The Nets are not, in fact, a bad defense. They're arguably the best offense in the league, and they're a plus defense. So there's nothing that you can say about that. Just keep those narratives to yourself.
And those are old narratives. Like, oh, there's one ball. Oh, the Nets don't play defense. Our defensive energy and our defensive strategy, it changed a lot over the last couple months. But you can't update these people that don't watch the games, these people that don't know what's going on. Okay, next. Someone wrote, who do y'all think is Flipper Collector Joe writes, who do y'all think is the biggest threat in the East? Us. Like, who the biggest threat to us? The biggest threat to us out of our side of the bracket, like who will face the Bucks. And I only give them that respect because they beat us in the regular season. They have an MVP on their team. They went out and got Drew Holiday. We know about their big three. They gave us problems in the regular season. They could give us problems. If I have to answer the question, I think the Bucks are the biggest threat, but I wouldn't even consider them a big threat. I just think they're a threat. Like they could take us to a 6-7 game series. What do you think, Hudson?
Yeah, honestly, like to me, I do see the Bucks as being 1A. I see the Sixers as 1B, but I don't see them as a very large threat. And look, people are going to say, and actually we've been getting this on Twitter, that we're talking too confidently about the Nets. But look, if you're not talking confidently about them now, then when, right? The expectation is a championship. So I'm not going to sit here hemming and hawing over, are we going to have to wall off Giannis to be able to beat the Bucks? Because at the end of the day, that's the Nets' job to figure out, right? They're going to figure out a way to do it. Our coaching staff, our organization is going to find out a way to do it. We're just kind of along for the ride, right? So I'm not going to lose sleep, and I don't think you guys should lose sleep over them either, other than to think, okay, this is who we have next. This is who we're going to beat next. There's no time to be wasted worrying. It's the Nets are beyond that, right? If we're worried, that's almost a sign of weakness at this point. It's a sign that we're not confident because the Nets, as constructed, should beat every team in the league. There is no team that can check the Nets based on talent, based on roster, based on chemistry, based on whatever metric you want to look at alone. That's all that it is. So just watch the Nets and enjoy them. Don't spend too much time worrying about all that.
Breaking news, I don't know if this is true, but I see Sports Fan wrote Talking Nets. The Tuesday game got moved to Monday. Same time, though, I think. If that's true, good, because I was wondering why there would be 3 days between. Like, we play Saturday, then we have all day Sunday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday. I'm pretty sure we got to get these games, we got to get these games in. So like we play the, first 2 games, we play Saturday, we take the night off Sunday, we play Monday. That made more sense. And even when I was talking to Riley, my ticket guy, before this stuff came out, I was like, I'm assuming the second game is going to be Monday, and I'll try and make that. But we'll have to check on that. I don't know if that's 100% facts or not, or where that came from, and I can't check it. We got to wrap this up now. Let's see. JJ, I saw your question about Chris Carino and Tim Capstraw being on the pod. I love what they do on WFAN. I listen to them when I can. I would love to have them on the pod. I will reach out and try and do that because they are great. They are great characters. Their voices are great. Their basketball knowledge is great. They're showmen. I would love to have them on. Okay, let's wrap this up here. I think that's it. I think that's it. Yeah. So that's all we got. We're going to wrap this up. Talking Nets, episode 104. And we appreciate you guys watching on YouTube. Get used to seeing us live on the YouTube. Get used to seeing us live on Instagram. Follow the Instagram at Talking Nets if you're not doing that. Make sure you follow us across platforms at Talking Nets on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Obviously, you're here now. Call the voicemail after every game. Please call the voicemail. Give us your reactions. It's 201-870-0461. I appreciate the reviews. We're 16 reviews away from 100. We'll get there during the playoffs. If you like what we do, if you appreciate Hudson and I, write a review. It makes us look good to the outside world that doesn't know about us. When someone checks out the pod, there's going to be a lot of people checking to say, hey, who's talking about the Nets during this run? Or I want to learn more about the Nets. I want to be tapped in. They're going to search Brooklyn Nets pods, and they're going to see how many reviews we have, and that's all you guys making us look good. We appreciate it. And that's all we've got. Like I said, every 2 games, we'll have another pod. We're going to be live on Instagram doing pre-games, post-games. I'm doing a watch party Saturday at Tailgate Brooklyn. I will be at some of these games, and as soon as I know what games I'm going to, I will tweet them out. I will link up with you guys at the stadium. Can't wait to meet some more Nets fans. It is time. Get ready. It is going to be so much fun. Like watching the play-in games, I'm like, wait till we get in a series with KD, Harden, and Kyrie, and you get to see these guys play at the highest level to the fullest extent of their ability. Hudson, you got anything else?
Man, enjoy it while it's here, right? Keith is wearing the old Nets jersey. He's wearing the New Jersey Nets jersey. We don't wait a long time, boys. We've been waiting. We've been sitting. We've been watching. We've been hoping. But it ain't about hope anymore. It's not about looking to the future anymore. It's not about draft picks. It's not about the next free agent class. It's not any of that. It's about now. It's about winning, and it's about bringing home the Larry O'Brien trophy. The only one that can stop the Nets are the Nets themselves. So all they got to do is go out and handle business, and we're all part of that. As fans, we're going to be in the arena. We're going to get loud. It's going to be filled. They're going to fill up the stadium with Nets fans that they say there aren't any of us. So let's just get it. Let's get this done. Let's go out. Let's get these wins, and let's just enjoy it because our time is now.
The number 2 seed in the East, your Brooklyn Nets, versus the number 7 seed in the East, the Celtics, who we have beef with forever, a long-standing history. Of course, it was written that we would face the Celtics on the road to the finals in the year 2021. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.
And that's the podcast. That is the podcast. I saw someone ask, I didn't want to say it on the pod, how to leave a review. Tomas, in the Apple Podcasts app, if you just scroll to the bottom of our podcast page, you search up Talking Nets, you scroll to the bottom of the page, it says write a review and leave a rating. So just give us that rating. Everybody, please give us ratings. I would love it if we could get to 100. I mean, we hit 10K on the Twitter. We know there's all those people out there. It's funny to think what a small percentage of that 10K of the total viewership that we have, the 84 reviews are. Just get it done. Leave a thumbs up. Do what you need to do. I would love it. I know Keith would love it. It's just good vibes all around. We're the podcast of the people, and you guys are the ones that keep us going. So let us know why we should keep it going.
Bro, we built this out of dust, bro. We appreciate you guys so much. We built this hoping for this, right? Like we've been literally doing this podcast saying we're playing for a championship. Wait till the playoffs. Wait till we get KD, Kyrie, Harden, all together. And now is the time. Let's enjoy this ride. Hudson and I will be here to take you through it, to narrate it for you, to keep you guys updated and give you a place to come together to talk about the Nets. I can't wait. Like, I'm wearing the old Nets jersey because last time we went to the finals, J Kidd took us there, and I'm getting those vibes again. Like, it's our world, Nets world. Appreciate y'all watching. Hit subscribe. Send this link to a friend, and we'll be back after the next 2 games. And obviously, we'll have content for you on Instagram, Twitter, and all that. So appreciate you guys. Talking Nets, fam. We out of here.